So does WWE actually have a Karrion Kross problem, or have they just pulled off one of the sneakiest long-term plays of the year? Because if you've been watching closely, this man isn't going anywhere. In fact, the Kross contract storyline might just be one big work, and I'll tell you why. And before we get deep into it, if you haven't already, check out my last breakdown on Karrion Kross right here, where I went into the narrative chessboard WWE's been playing with him all year long. Now, let's fully dive into this topic. The rumors that Karrion Kross's contract is up this weekend, yes, it's technically true. WWE's contract with Karrion Kross and Scarlett does end in the next several days. But the idea WWE would even think about letting him walk? Come on, let's be real. That is not happening. This feels like classic misdirection, and we all know WWE is amazing for it. These pseudo real contract cliffhangers, they're leveraging social media, Reddit, and the dirt sheets to keep the IWC guessing, and guess what? It's working perfectly. Look, I'm even making a video about it on a YouTube channel, let alone all the other wrestling content creators that are making almost the exact same videos. This week alone, WWE promoted Karrion Kross's personal book. Let that sink in for a second. Since when does WWE plug an outside project for a guy they're gonna cut? You ever see that kind of treatment before someone gets future endeavored? Yeah, me either. Let's talk about the wrestling side of it. Kross was on SummerSlam, not just there, but spotlighted. You don't get a SummerSlam payday if creative has no plans for you. You get a catering table and the silent treatment. Look at what we recently got with Austin Theory and the silent treatment. Kross is not in that boat. Not by a long shot. All right, now we're going to talk money. Kross is a top tier merch mover. His fan base is loyal. They're intense. And the crossover for so many platforms is so capable, and the potential is glorious for him. That gothic presentation, the Scarlett pairing, the TikTok motif, it completely sells and works. Kross has quietly built a fan base that bridges WWE, horror fandom, and even comic book circles. That's not just a niche, that's brandable on major scales, and that's what TKO and WWE looks for. Now imagine Kross shows up in AEW with that energy. Tony Khan would jump all over that opportunity. Kross brings both character and physicality, the two things AEW desperately needs in the main event scene. And unlike some ex-WWE talent, Kross has never been fully exposed or overused. There's mystery to his capabilities, and that screams value. Now, to my next comment, it's a double-edged sword, and I understand where you could go with this, but hear me out. Do you think WWE wants another Cody Rhodes situation, letting someone walk, build buzz somewhere else, then force themselves back into the narrative later? Nah, they know better, and they've learned from those mistakes. They're not letting that happen again. Not with a guy like Kross. I'm seeing a parallel with R-Truth and Karrion Kross. So are we headed to another R-Truth situation? Remember how that whole angle fizzled? WWE played up the underdog love, gave him screen time, and then tossed him back into the comedy relief mode, only for the fans to jump online, create the buzz, and show the value that we see in R-Truth. Unfortunately, we got the big comeback and nothing has come of it yet. But here's the difference. Kross isn't a joke. He's never been booked as one, minus his debut on the main roster. Even when things went south on his original main roster run, his look, his promos, his presence, they're all money. WWE knows this. They just needed to repackage the execution and let Kross be himself. Even when he was losing, it wasn't comedy, it was chaos. There's a ceiling to that. and it's not the 24/7 title or WWE's main event. The fact that we're even having this conversation about his contract means they're doing something right. This is buzz building. This is engagement. Kross is being talked about finally, and that is not by accident. You don't trend twice in a week unless something is being completely orchestrated on the back end. WWE is supporting Kross on all avenues. And this all forms from WWE evolving and learning from their mistakes. Look, WWE has made mistakes before. The first Kross call-up, like I've mentioned, was a disaster. Gladiator gear, no Scarlet, complete disconnect from what made him special in NXT, and fans rejected it hard. But this version, the Final Testament arc, the Wyatt 6 teases, the cryptic social drops, the faction energy, that stuff was great, but the undeniable version of Kross that we have gotten since that promo at WrestleMania, it's working because it feels like Kross. This is Killer Kross, and it feels aligned, feels designed for long form storytelling, a slow burn, not a sprint. It's an attitude era approach in a modern container. When you have someone who commands the screen without saying a word, who builds suspense with his presence alone, that's main event energy. You don't discard that, you protect it. It reminds me of what Triple H said recently in an interview. Not everyone gets pushed all at once. Sometimes people hold positions to build legacy. What if this is what they're doing here? We've seen it with Drew. We've seen it with Sheamus. We even saw it with Gunther before his major rise. The slow burn becomes the norm under Triple H. I won't hear that Triple H doesn't know how to build talent. We can keep naming more people. Tiffany Stratton, Jacob Fatu, etc., etc., etc. So now I leave this to you. Is Kross being set up for a major end of the year run? Maybe even something tied into a Wyatt 6 storyline, or even back on Raw in the world title picture? Or is WWE just holding on to him to block an AEW jump? And what does that mean for guys like LA Knight, who are stuck in a weird mid-card purgatory, being utilized, always there, but never fully pushed? Could WWE be strategically bottlenecking certain talents until the next draft or Mania season? Is this about spacing and holding every talent's value? Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this Kross redemption arc real, or are we heading for another drop ball by WWE Creative? Guys, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you're new, smash that bell so you never miss a drop, because we have some massive giveaways planned starting mid-September on this channel, but be aware on all my other social channels of all future information. This is going to be a huge season for this channel, and Kross might be right in the middle of it. So like always, guys, be good people.